some Dan Snyder allegations that has come to light.
Oh, is that this? That's this week? Man, this week
Yeah,
is long.
this week had a lot of stuff happen. So, like, as we've discussed numerous times at length, as far as the Washington football team, which I just bought Madden 21. Don't do it. I just wanted to see what the Washington football team looked like on Madden. That's the only reason I dropped $60 on the goddamn game, being completely honest. Which their uniforms are actually kind of cool in the Washington football team logo, but whatever. All right, back to Dan Snyder. So we've talked about all the there was a Washington Post article that came back last month, I think it was mid-July, about all of the allegations of especially former female staffers within the organization and how they felt as far as the sexual harassment and just the culture and how bad it was. Now, the build up to that article was huge because everybody started having all these rumors about how Dan Snyder was going to be involved or wrapped up in it. And at the end of the day, when an article ended, the only thing you could really say Dan Snyder was guilty of was not doing enough to change the culture or not being plugged in enough to see what was happening in the culture. Which is negligence, right? As far as just as far as how the team operated. Now, Washington Post releases another article, thank God with not as much fanfare, because everybody that got the article wrong last time is now getting sued by Dan Snyder. But article comes out that there are a bunch more staffers that do come out and say, hey, Dan Snyder was involved at least in a few things directly. The number one thing that's probably getting the most run is the video, the cheerleading video, which is something I've mentioned to you guys as far as like hearing some stuff behind the scenes as far as what was actually happening.
You mean the good bits?
The good bits, or what they called the DVD for executives only. So Larry Michael, who was the voice of the team formerly known as Redskins, fucking hate that prick. Apparently he was somebody allegedly that requested when they were doing they were shooting a video,
a swimsuit issue.
They were doing a calendar and they had a video which I've watched because we played on like Comcast Sportsnet about like how it is that they're making the cheerleading thing. Now, as you know, if they got the cameras continuously rolling and you got cheerleaders on a beach and they've got to change clothes or what have you, usually hold up something, you try to do it. They had the cameras rolling, and not only were they rolling, they were zooming in on their crotches, they were zooming in on their on the nipples, things like that, completely just outside of the realm of anything that was going to be used for the DVD.
That's all just disgusting.
Just disgusting, terrible voyeurism. Not only just voyeurism, but like you have these women kind of know what's happening and kind of, I mean, if you look at all the articles that happened, they had their passports taken from them when they went down there. You feel kind of trapped. And then if you look at also the culture of the organization with all the articles we have read, it's not like they could really go and complain to anybody anyway. But somebody takes the footage and they actually hire somebody to edit and cut the footage. The guy who said that he was part of the editing process is actually in the article about how terrible he felt about doing it. But this is something that he said that guys like Larry Michael was going to give to Dan Snyder because Dan Snyder wanted it. So that is a direct tie to Dan Snyder. Now, Dan Snyder released a statement saying that he had nothing to do with it. He's never seen the movie. That the Washington Post won't let him see a copy of it, even though the Washington Post has verified independently that it is a legitimate video, that it wasn't something that was doctored after the fact. They can see the timestamps, the dates, and everything. It all checks out. Now, even on top of that, you had another, I think it was a cheerleader for the Washington football team, who was at an event. And Dan Snyder's longtime childhood friend, who's an orthodontist in Northern Virginia, Tony something or another. Apparently, this orthodontist had done work on one of the cheerleaders at one point. And Dan Caesar at this function comes and talks to him, like, hey, I really think you should get to know Tony more. He has a hotel room upstairs. Now, she was waiting for there to be like a pause or a joke or somebody to laugh, and there was no laughter. It's like Dan Snyder was absolutely soliciting her to go and do things with this guy upstairs, which is not anything you ever want from an owner. As far as just anybody, right? But especially an owner in the sense of what it is they can do. Like if it's somebody that just mentions that, all right, you may be able to tell somebody to go fuck off, but not when it's your boss who's in charge of your livelihood and you feel as though if you were to do anything, the ramifications of that might actually hinder anything you could possibly do. So those are two direct ties, not longer just a negligence thing, but direct ties to Dan Snyder and what it is he was doing as far as his take and his part with the sexual misconduct.
I have no idea how he's still.
Well, for the first time ever, you had Roger Goodell and the NFL actually release a statement saying that they are going to be investigating. Now, Mike Florio from Football Talk had an article that really went through that process of it and said, look, nowhere, if you really look through some of the jargon that they're using, What it looks like they're going to do is just talk to the lawyers that Dan Snyder has already hired to do the investigative work for the Washington football team. And if you know lawyers, if you hire them, they're yours. They're yours to be used for you. So at the end of the day, I can't see a scenario in which the people that Dan Snyder hired are going to then go and run to someone else and tell them, hey, you should really strip this guy of his ownership. But there is a buzz harder than it ever has been that there's actually a movement right now to at least suspend Dan Snyder from NFL operations. But I think the movement to actually get him stripped, there's going to have to be more things that come out. And what I understand, there are one of the people that wrote the article said there are like 16 or 17 additional people that have not been interviewed yet that after seeing those articles really, really, really want to talk.
Yeah, it's weird though. Like, how much, what does it take?
Yeah, where's the threshold?
Where's the line? And
Yeah.
then, like, you look at, like, all the shit that he said, it's just nuts.
The thing is that to me, it's a moving goalpost, right? It just depends on where society is at large. Right now, you have a society where you have a president that says you can grab women by the pussy, and he is the leader of the free world. So when you have certain things like that happening, you also got to know who's in those rooms as far as the NFL owners. The NFL owners have a lot more in common with the guy in the White House than they do as far as any woke people that would want to change as far as the culture goes. There are a few owners that do always step on the right side of things. You look at the Pittsburgh Steelers and the way the organization is ran as far as that family. You look at the Rooneys or the Maras and the Maras and the Rooneys as far as the Rooneys in Pittsburgh, the Maras in New York, as far as those families being ones that have always really championed certain rights and certain good things. You even look at the Davises in Las Vegas now. They are not usually ones that stand for bullshit. And that's the kindest thing you're ever going to hear me say about your franchise, James. So it's just a matter of, like, in order to oust an owner, it at least has to be bad enough in which you can't. So you look at, like, the Jerry Richardson from Carolina, where it's like it has to be so bad that there's no way that you can get around it. But as long as they have that scapegoat where he's not caught on tape doing anything, which is what is important to a lot of people, as in if you look at even when it comes to the players, Ray Rice in that situation, which still carries a black eye as far as the NFL goes, they need something overt that gets people riled up.
There's breaking
really
news.
Doesn't.
There's breaking news. So Del Loy Hansen, the owner of the Real Salt Lake and Utah Royals from the MLS and the Women's League in soccer, he is going to sell, like, the team because he made racist comments. Like, all this stuff just came out.
I mean, maybe the threshold now?
But here's the thing, is that if you were to look in that article and see as far as the racist comments, right, it's either going to be something that you had a lot of witnesses that absolutely heard him say it, or it's going to be something that was either caught on audio or caught in video.
It was witnesses heard him say it.
That's the thing. So when it comes to, like, a Dan Snyder and what it's going to take to oust him from the team, it's going to be something big. It's the same reason why, if you look, I keep bringing up the president. There's a reason why you have the producers of The Apprentice. They know that there are videos that exist of Donald Trump saying the N-word and doing some bad shit. They don't want them released because they know if that released, that will be the thing. That will be the thing that gets enough people riled up. It usually has to be something, especially when you talk about those guys that are at that level, where it's not about cancel culture. It's about whether or not your buddies next to you are going to get any dirt on them, which is what makes the change. It's different when you're just a celebrity. If you're a Louis C.K. who relies on people buying tickets, you can shame people into thinking, hey, we should cancel this guy. We're not going to watch this movie. We're not going to watch this thing. And you're going to have people on social media that can easily take up that stand. But what are you going to do as far as the Washington football team, especially right now? There aren't going to be any fans in the stadium. What are you going to do, boycott the games so you're not going to watch them? They already got their ad revenue. What are you going to do that actually impacts them? You've got to see something that really puts a black eye on the rest of the league and start seeing where their dollars and cents are going to get matched and where it is that their line's going to be before anybody actually makes any change.
Well, that's happening because if you look at, like, how people are viewing the situation in Washington, and now people are looking at the league like, hey, what are you guys doing? Like, you see all this stuff going on. You see how they're treating their employees. Like, this is supposed to be a part of the league, the shield.
There's one thing that I think actually works. Now, I will give, before I do this, and this is going to be a segue into a different topic. I'm sorry if I'm stepping on your toes, but I think it works. As far as I will give credit for this. The people that Dan has hired in the Washington football team recently have not sugarcoated anything, and they've been free to speak their mind on exactly what's happening. Listening to the new guy, Jason Wright, as far as our team president, young black man that we talked about last week, he released a statement on it. He's not shying away from it. Julie Donaldson, who's the team's leader as far as media, she's speaking about it. Like, these people are not afraid to just not talk about it anymore. They're going to address it. They're going to say, hey, look, this is a culture that is not going to be accepted. If we find out anything like this is happening, come after us, because we are the ones that are going to champion and make sure that something changes.